Hey, what's up YouTube? Coming back with yet another World of Tanks video. Now this video is not necessarily going to be a specific review or gameplay or any of those filler clips that I put in for shits and giggles, but for the most part I got a very interesting request from somebody on YouTube basically asking what are my favorite tier 1 to tier 10 tanks from each specific tier. Now that's what I'm going to be going over in this video today, and I'll just go to the tech tree, go to each country, basically show a couple clips, hopefully, of gameplay. Not necessarily every tier, because that would take too long, but maybe I'll do tier 3, tier 5, and tier 10, possibly a tier 8. And, just go through my favorite tanks, why I like them, explain which ones they are, and go into detail within each specific tank. So before we start this, I just want to go over the main update just for my channel and basically how this thing's going. As you guys know, if you haven't realized, I am doing a New Year's giveaway, and I'm giving away 3 tank gold bundles for World of Tanks, and all you have to do, I'll have the video in the description. You guys could just go on there, comment, rate, subscribe, and put in your region, whether it be North America, European, Southeast Asia, whatever it is, and your tank specific username up here, and yeah, just go to that video and enter yourself into that giveaway, and hopefully good luck, you guys might win. So yep, let's get on with this video, and hopefully it won't be too long. Alright, so for tier 1, now, my favorite tier 1 tank is actually not what you're staring at right now. A lot of people like the T1 Cunningham, a lot of people like the LOL Tractor, it's all preference. Before I make this video, I just want to go out and say that, all tankers have their favorite tank, whether it be a T1 Cunningham, LOL Tractor, friggin' MS1, whatever you want it to be. It's all preference, your playstyle by yourself. I'm just going through this video because I got a request on it, and basically showcasing what specific tanks I like, how I play them, maybe give you guys some tips on if you're going to go down that line, or, hopefully give some pointers on that. But my favorite tier 1 tank, believe it or not, is actually the Russian one. Yes, I know, bias, right? The MS1. Now I'm just going to go ahead and transfer my crew, because OCD is taking over, and I hate looking at tanks without a crew. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in. Now this is my favorite tier 1 tank, not because of its amazing gun, but just because of its engine power and also a lot of other things that you may not realize. The thing about this gun on this tank is I've gotten used to it just because it's on the T127. Many people do not realize that it's basically the same exact gun as the Tier 3 Premium, as it, it's got the same penetration, same average damage, a little bit different accuracy, aim time, whatever, whatnot, but it's for the most part just the same standard 45mm low tier Russian cannon. Now the thing about the MS1, it has ridiculous gun depression, and it is a good sniping tank for the fact that it has pretty good view range at tier 1, but it also has, just an all-rounder feel to it, and it does have the most alpha of any tier 1, if I am not mistaken. I think it does, because most of them have auto cannons and stuff. But the thing about this tank is you can basically 2-shot or 3-shot any other tier 1 vehicle. With a good crew, you have maybe around a 3 to 4 second reload. Now, you're not obviously going to be brawling at tier 1, and people are going to be YOLOing out their friggin' windows and just dropping off hills and stuff, just not knowing what the hell they're doing. But if you're going to seal club, I definitely recommend the MS1 for the tier 1 tank. Now, with this tank, I don't run any specific modules or was it equipment on it, no gold rounds. It's just a fun little troll tank. Now if you're going to be going for like tournaments or stuff like that, or team companies, team training, where you basically have those extra tier spots, you probably would want to bring a T1 Cunningham, as it has pretty good camo. You can put a camo net, have full camo crew, put a few binocs on there, just use it as a scout. So I've seen a lot of people do that, but personally, on a personal level, I like the MS1. So that's tier 1. Next we'll get on to tier 2, where we have a plethora of choices, and you probably could have already seen it in my garage, but I'll go right into it. Alright, so for tier 2, it actually came down to a tough choice between this tank here, the Tetrarch, and the American TD, just beast mode tank, the T18. Now, what I actually have figured between these two tanks is the fact that the T1, or T18 rather, actually has, believe it or not, the same type of gun that the Tetrarch has. Now, obviously, you know that the T-18 is famous for its 75mm just ridiculous HE round howitzer. But what many people, seal clubbers and friggin' guys who just go around stat padding and stuff in this tank, they actually run the 2-pounder, which is, crap, I just messed it up, but it's basically the same thing as the Tetrarch's gun. So I can pull that up right here, actually. The 2-pounder, and then go to Tetrarch, which is here, and there you go. It's the same 2-pounder 40mm cannon. Only thing is the T-18 has a way better rate of fire and better accuracy, aim time attributes. But that's one thing that people don't realize, is that the T-18's best gun, in theory, is basically mounted on a light that was given away for free, I think for New Year's 2 years ago. So what I'm actually going to go with as my favorite tier 2 tank is probably the Tetrarch. Now this is just because it's on a light tank and it has that pew pew, you know, just ridiculously penning tier 2 gun, which is actually a tier 4 gun rather, on a tier 2 light tank. Which, yes, it does have a long shell travel time. The .40 accuracy is not fun, but it's doable. The aim time is alright. But if you put, you know, if you really want to go all out, you can put a gun leg drive and stuff on here. But once again, just that ridiculous pen can go through, like I said before, the T-18, which is one of the most, actually probably the most heavily armored tier 2 in the game that many people troll around with that howitzer. So that's the tier 2. Next I'll go into tier 3, which once again you have so many choices, including premium tanks. Alright, so for tier 3, I've got this, you know, just obsession with the PZ-1C. Now this specific tank is just so troll. It's got that, what is it, like a 15, I don't even know what millimeter Mauser gun that is. It's got, you all know it, you've seen it, it just has that amazing autocannon that actually has ridiculous pen as a, oh my god, it's a 7mm. It has pretty good pen on this, but it's, for the most part, it has, what was it, 8 seconds of a complete loading magazine, and it has 40 shells in that magazine. Now, that magazine just gets unloaded in about, I say, 6 seconds at most, and it just has ridiculous amounts of burst damage. Now at tier 3, with it being a non-premium tank, it does have the capability to see a lot of tier 5 tanks. But with that being said, you know, you could just go around scout, and with its insane 72, or actually 79 km/h speed limit, you could just go around, patrol the area, you know, scout out for people, get some artillery, stuff like that. So that's tier 3. Next we'll go into tier 4. Alright guys, so for tier 4, it's obviously, in the majority of the people in the world of tanks community would agree, it is the hell of World of Tanks. It's the worst tier. You know, you get the PZ-38NA, you got the what's it, M5 Steward, you got the A20, all those just random tier 4 scouts that are painful to grind. Now, you'll find out the hard way if you're a new player. You know, you always go, oh, what the hell's wrong with Matchmaker when a tier 4 scout in a tier 8 game? And you always see those people in pub games just complaining, and people laugh at them saying, oh, looks like you found out how Matchmaker works with those scouts. So obviously those are going to be out of the picture just because of the friggin' matchmaking they get. Now, a lot of people would argue that it's doable, but for the most part it's not going to be enjoyable. So I'm just, like I said, going to rule those out. Now, until the new Matilda, well, not necessarily new, but way before the Matilda even came out, there was very little choice for tier 4 that was actually good, and it was just, like I said, recognized as the worst tier in World of Tanks. So for my favorite tier 4, I'm actually not going to pick the Matilda, because when you're in tier 6 games, many people say you can bounce stuff, and it's just not, you know, it's just not that hard to play. But the thing about the Matilda is, in my opinion, it's too slow to really do that max amount of potential that other tanks have, and also it's just I don't know, it's just, like I said, it's too slow. I don't really like that about it. It has a pretty good gun. It has that 2-pounder, like I said, that actually the Tetrarch basically gets. But what I'm gonna pick for my favorite tier 4 is, not many people know about it. Where is it? It's the German artillery. Now, since the German, what is it? The, not German artillery line, the already got reworked and it goes up to tier 10 now, obviously. This new tank was added. It's basically a Panzer IV with an open top turret and an artillery cannon, so it's an artillery. And the thing about it is it has like negative 15 degrees of gun depression. Now, although this thing gets the same gun as the Tier 3 Wesp, it's one of the best TD mode arties in the game, and you can literally crest over hills and crest over mountaintops and not get killed because you have the gun depression to hold down in an artillery. Now I actually use this tank as just a troll tank. I have some clips on my channel somewhere around here of me just one-shotting people. I think I have one on me one-shotting an M3 Lee with an HE round at like 600 meters, just TD mode derping. Now, so in my opinion, this is not the best tier 4 tank, but it's actually artillery. It's just so fun to play. And the fact that it has somewhat reliable armor for those tier 3 autocannons, I've actually gotten cool-headed and steel wall in this tank a couple times. So that's tier 4, and next we're going to go on to tier 5, where there's many different tanks, including tank destroyers, and lots of premium tanks that are actually pretty good at that tier. Alright, so the new toaster or flak bus type tank that people have been raving about, I actually hated. So I'm just going to go ahead and skip that thing. So the favorite tier 5 tank, in my opinion, is actually not in the store right now. It was actually on the Russian server. I think you can still buy it on the Russian server, but it was not released on the North American server until Christmas. A little bit before Christmas, actually. So this is the KV220. Now, I bought this for around, I want to say $50 with 10,000 gold and a couple other stuff. I think it was like a week of premium or something. This tank is literally the KV3's younger brother, and it's better than the KV1 in many ways just because of its intense side scraping abilities. Now, if you compare it to the KV1, it has better armor all around, as the KV1 has 75, 75, and 10. This thing has 100, 100, and the rear is 80. So, yep, this thing all around is better than the KV1's front. So this ass armor on this tank is better than the KV1's front. Now, with that being said, its turret is not as reliable as the KV1, but for a seal clubbing tank and just trolling around, this is the tank that anybody would probably go to. The fact that this tank gets preferential matchmaking is just bizarre because it's on a KV3 hull with a 76mm cannon with ridiculous pen with gold rounds and decent pen with standard rounds, and it's a premium tank, so even if you fire gold like I do, I load 50, you're still going to make money. So this thing, with its good V range, good engine power, good hit points, good everything, is just the ultimate tank at tier 5 in my opinion. Now, if I even go to my service record, I'm going to check how many games I've played in this. I don't think I've played that many, maybe like 50 or something. Yeah, 56 games with a 71% win rate. And where's my average frags? What is that? Destruction ratio, 5.32. I've lived 66% of my games, which is literally 2/3 of the games I play. I live in this tank, and it's just a steel wall machine. So that's tier 5 for you. Next we'll go on to tier 6, which you all know what that is. That's going to be the Hellcat. And yeah, I'll still do it anyway. Alright, so here we go with tier 6, which I have already stated. The Hellcat. Now this tank is just an all-around beast. It gets a 90mm cannon at tier 6 that has ridiculous penetration, gold round penetration, average damage of a tiger, and you know, just pretty good, a really good aiming time. Accuracy is decent, and just the fact that it has a 72-mile-an-hour speed limit, or kilometer-an-hour speed limit. If that was mile an hour, that'd be ridiculous. But at a tier 6 tank destroyer. Now, its traverse speed and turret traverse speed are actually pitiful at 30 and 16, which I don't even want to get into that. But the fact that you could, you know, speed around, actually, you could even scout in this tank is just ridiculous. Now, it is an open top turret, and it has no armor whatsoever at 13mm, friggin' PZ-1Cs, which I just stated before, and artillery will pen right through you and do lots of damage to you if you are not careful. Now, this tank has excellent view range and radio range, as it is a open top tank. Now, the one thing that I do want to suggest you do on this tank is, where is it? Oh, here it is get the T49. Now, what I did before this tank, I was a terrible player. I had just started the game, and this was my first tier 6 actually. I went through the Wolverine. Now, this tank is pretty good at tier 5, but the fact that the T49 is the predecessor, well, the real predecessor to the Hellcat, it'll help you with the playstyle way more. It'll teach you the fact that it has no armor, and the fact that it has a great speed limit, and just how to play the overall tank. I suggest getting the T49 first before you get the Hellcat. And the Hellcat is one of the best seal clubbing tanks, which a lot of stat padders use just to bring up their stats to Unicum and, you know, get their average damage up, just stuff like that. So that's the Hellcat for you. Next, we'll go to Tier 7, which is quite a debate. A lot of people say the T29 or the Tiger is good like that, but I actually have something that is neither of them. Alright, so that tank that I'm talking about, that is not the Tiger one, and that is not the T29, is actually a premium tank. Now, many people, once you hear that, you'll know what I'm talking about, and that is the Su-122-44. Now, this thing has the classic, 122 derp cannon that all the Russian mid-tier heavies have, but this one is just that cannon with the attributes are on steroids. The fact that it has a 7.5 rounds per minute rate of fire makes this thing have a 6.6 second reload with Brothers in Arms and Vent and Rammer. And I load a camo net just because its camo is also ridiculously OP. Just makes this tank ridiculous at tier 7. The penetration is quite a lot for tier 7, which is 175, gold round 217, same as the IS-6, and there you go, it's alpha damage 390 every 6 seconds. That just think about that for a second. You could kill a Tiger tank in theoretically like 20 seconds, something like that. Accuracy is not as good because this is an assault tank. It's labeled as a tank destroyer, which it is, but it's played as an assault tank, sort of like the Foch, sort of like the Su-85, stuff like that. It is in a very tight superstructure, which is very weird because it seems like a really mobile tank, which it is, but the fact that it's in a tight superstructure means that it does not have the gun traverse that a lot of people would like, and for the gun traverse that it has, which isn't that good, it only goes to about here and here, maybe like 10 degrees each side. It has very bad dispersion. But the fact, like I said, that you're going to be up close, not necessarily brawling with other tanks, but peeking and shooting, using your camo at medium range, the accuracy and the aim time aren't going to matter, and the dispersion won't really be too bad for this tank. So that's the tier 7. I will probably have a gameplay and actually review of this tank later in the week, as I have decided to sit down and make a few reviews on some of my premium tanks. And next we'll go into tier 8, which is basically the most prevalent tier that you see in pub games. Alright, so on to tier 8. Tier 8 you got, look at this, the M40-43, which has an 8-inch 203mm howitzer, all the way to friggin' 90mm cannons on the T69 to slow-ass tank destroyer like these guys. You got, tier 8 is just the biggest tier that you can find in World of Tanks. In my opinion, it's that one leap that you have as a new player. Once you get to tier 8, getting to tier 9 is one of the hardest things in World of Tanks, in my opinion, other than, dealing with pubs on your team that have 45% win rates and 200 win 7 at tier 10. That's you're never gonna fix that. So in my opinion, for tier 8, for it to be my favorite tank, normally you'd say you'd have to carry in it, and it'd have to be a tank that you could definitely be able to carry. So one thing that I can actually state right now, the best tier or gun that a tier 8 gets is not up for discussion. That's obviously the BL-10 on the ISU-152. Now the reason why I'm going to rule out this tank is because it's a glass cannon. Basically a tank that has 90mm of frontal hull armor at tier 8, which is just nothing, and the fact that it has 1010 hit points is just not enough in my opinion to carry teams. And yep, it does have that destroying gun, the 750 average damage and 286 pen, but the fact that it's on just the base that the ISU is, you just really can't carry with that. So the tank that I'm going to go to, which many people might agree with this, but at the same time, like I said, these are my own opinions. Every tank is up for up for debate for favorite tanks because it's your favorite tank personally, and it's just your preference. So mine is actually going to be the IS-6. Now I have played this tank more times than I have played any other tank, at 1,116 battles. Now this was my first tier 8 premium tank. I have a KV-5 and a Jagdtiger 88 now, and this tank is still my favorite tier 8 to this day. Now, I played it pre-patch, or pre-buff rather, where they redid the driver's hatch. I think it was 7.5, like right before they added physics. They redid the turret, they gave it a little bit more health, a little bit power to weight ratio, better dispersion, which it's still pretty bad. But the fact that I love this tank is it has that, standard Russian 122 millimeter that, like I said, the Su-122-44 has, but it has a pretty good rate of fire. It basically has a 9.8 second reload with Brothers in Arms, Vents, and Rammer, and its accuracy and aim time are probably the worst at tier 8 for 0.46 and 3.4, but that could be easily negated because this tank is one of the best brawlers at tier 8. You just get right up into people's faces. They don't know what to do. You have pretty good DPM, enough pen to hit weak spots, and you just have that great alpha at 390. And the fact that this tank has one of the best armor schemes in the game, in my opinion, is just amazing too at tier 8. Now look at this. You have the slope side armor, which if you angle, it does kind of show the shoulder pieces on the armor, frontal armor, a little bit, but many people do not know how to shoot that, and they don't know that that becomes a weak spot, but they end up shooting back here. This tank is great for side scraping because of that, and just because it has 100 millimeters of armor in the front and sides, you get a lot of no damage pens on the side. You get a lot of ricochets. Your turret's also very strong. You just have ridiculous troll factor armor, and just all around, this tank is my favorite tank at tier 8, and there's really nothing you can do to stop it if you're facing it frontally, and are subject to being out DPM by this tank. So next we'll get into tier 9, and you guys will probably know that that's going to be between the T54 or the E75, which I'll be able to tell you guys in 1 second. Alright, so my favorite tier 9 is the T54, just because it's just OP as hell. They haven't changed it much ever since it was released, actually. The only real thing they did was redo the armor, redo the, I think it's the turret working, and they added this gun here, the D54. The thing is about this is they just wanted to make it longer to get to the T62A because this used to be the end of the line before they added tier 10 mediums. Now it obviously goes to the Object 140 and the T62A, and you have these guys over here to the new Object 430 that I'm probably eventually going to get, as it's basically a clone of these two tanks. So T54 at tier 9 is basically, in my opinion, a tier 10, just because of the fact that it has that amazing gun with ridiculous heat round penetration, which is actually the same as the T62As. It has the same average damage as the T62A at 320 damage. It has 0.35 accuracy, 2.3 aiming time, and the pen, like I said, gold rounds are ridiculous, standard AP are fine, and its rate of fire is basically around like a 6-second reload. So this thing is the ultimate tier 9 brawler medium. It has 120 millimeters of frontal armor, which is pretty much bouncy at tier 9. It has a great slope, its turret's really strong. It's just a great all-around tier 9 tank that you could get right up to people, shoot them out, shoot them in the butt, get around them, permatrack them, just circle them, stuff like that. It's just one of the easiest tanks to play too, in my opinion, if you're starting a medium type of line or starting to get into that playstyle. If you have the chance to get a T54, definitely recommend it. And now on to tier 10, which, is once again subject to preference, and I really actually don't really know at the tier 10 which one's my favorite, so I'm going to take a little break and come back and redo this video once I make up my decision. Alright, so my decision has been made for my favorite tier 10 tank that I currently own. Now, like I said, it's which ones I currently own, so all the ones that I haven't researched or haven't played on the test server are out of discussion. So, what I'm going to say is my favorite tier 10 uh, tank is going to be the Foch 155. Now, I just finished making a review on this tank, and it had some pretty good gameplay in it, a couple blind shots in the gameplay and stuff like that. But the fact that I love this tank is basically due to its autoloader at tier 10 for a tank destroyer. Now, it has the same average damage, as any other standard tier 10 tank destroyer, but the fact that it has 3 rounds within the clip, and also pretty good pen at that tier 10 tank destroyer, and pretty good accuracy, decent aim time. It's just all around really fun to play, and it has really good frontal armor, side armor, and back armor are non-existent. It's just overall one of my favorite tanks to play in the game, if not my favorite one, which I think I'm getting up there to like 300 or maybe even 200 battles in this tank, which I am at, yeah, 210. So I love this tank a lot. Basically my favorite tier 10. I'll probably have some gameplay in this a little bit later, but for the most part, that's just the end of this actual intro, I guess you call it intro or whatever, before we get into the gameplay of certain specific tiers. But hope you guys like the video so far, just going over my personal thoughts and stuff and opinions on this game. And yeah, let's get into some gameplay of tier 3. Alright guys, so for the first gameplay, we're going to have a tier 3 game, which I am playing in the PZ1C. Now this game, I think I end up getting 7 or 8 kills, which is pretty good for this tank. Now at the start of this game, I just go up north, and it's on Karelia, by the way, if you haven't noticed, by the map, if you don't forget to memorize them. So I go up toward this Stuart, and we've got a Stuart and a T26, and as you see, this tank's pen is not nearly enough to get through the Stuart's front, as it has some pretty troll front armor, that M3 Stuart, as it is a tier 3 tank. So what I end up doing is I believe I end up shooting him in the turret, or possibly going around, so I'm just gonna forward this up a little bit, and I end up, look at this, just mowing down that T26 without him even turning towards me. And that's what I say with this tank. It's just ridiculous with that autocannon, and the fact that this tank actually has some pretty good frontal armor, I'm able to side scrape with that and kill that T26. Now that M3 Stuart is still up here, and I'm not sure what he is doing, so I end up, believe I just bum rush him, or maybe wait for my teammates, I don't know, haven't even watch this replay in a while. So I unload on the M3 Stuart, bounce every single friggin' round, as this tank holds so much ammo, so you could just, try and mow tanks down. So what I do here is I try and find the specific weak spot on the front of the tank, and I'm shooting it where the reticle says green, but look at that, just bounce every single shot on him. So I just wait for my teammates to take him out, and as we go through this specific gameplay, I'm just going to go ahead and fast forward a little bit, make this a little bit slower, and there you go. Just mow down the T-57, and the fact that this tank is just so quick, I'm able to just fly around the map, dodge T-18 bullets that are apparently flying at me, and just go right past the enemy team. So for here, I think I spotted a T-26 or a T-46 right in front of me, and he has that ridiculous howitzer cannon, and he HEs me for half my health, and as he charges me, I just back up a little bit, let him take a few shots from my teammates, and I end up mowing him down in 3, 2, 1, dead. Alright, so he leaves me with 6 health, I almost die there, but we made it out safely, and as I reload, I turn to shoot this T-18, who apparently has 1 health left, and I bounce a crap ton of shots, and eventually kill him towards the middle of my clip, which was quite funny actually, because this tank has decent pen. I should have killed him earlier than that, but RNG screwed me over. So there's 5 kills, and there's a Su-26 or Su-18, whatever the hell it was, already. And I sit here reloading, trying to find the Su-26 as he's right there. So that's 7 kills. Go through here, a few other teammates are dying, my teammate's dying. And here we go, snipe the medium 2 on the move, and nope, can't get the kill. So here we go, it's 4-3, I go right towards this medium 2, or medium 3, or whatever the hell it was, and I try and shoot him on the move, get a few hits into him, and here we go, I'm on reload. So probably at this point I was probably scared that that AT1 was going to kill me. And I have 6 health, I have 7 kills, and I really don't want to lose this. So there's the kill on the medium 1, AT1 gets killed by our T18, and there's the cruiser 3. Now that tank's also another good tier 2 as it has an auto loader that's pretty legit. And I basically hit him for half his health, just keep spraying at him. And I think I don't get the kill here. I think the T18 or Wesp ends up getting it. But I come here, try and juke him out a little bit. And I believe Artie takes it. I might get it. Not really sure. But all I know is I got 8 kills so far. And too bad it's not tier 5 because there's no Bradley Walters at tier 3. So this PZ1C is probably my favorite tier 3 tank. And it's just, it's so fun to play, especially on maps like this. And there's the Wesp kill. And that's 8 kills on a PZ1C in a game that lasted 7 minutes. So a pretty good tank, as just showcased here. And next we'll get on with a tier 5 game in a KV220, which will just show how broken that tank is, and why it has a 65% win rate on the Russian server. Alright guys, so this is a clip of just the ridiculously broken KV220. And I'm going to speed this up just at the beginning because nothing really happens besides me killing 2 PZ1Cs that apparently YOLO rush me. And I end up getting Bradley Walters medal this game. And the fact that I could just sit out in the open here and they literally can't do anything about it. Just look at all these bounces coming. And I am like the M3 Stewart, the Su-85. Finally was able to pen me, and just look at all these bounces. I'm literally just sitting out in the open. They can't do anything about it. Now me and this KV1 are trading shots, and I'm just, hitting him a little bit, bouncing him as this Stewart or M4 kind of derps me out. And I get 1 pen on his weak spot there, shoot the T49 as that bounces. He pens me, our M4 gets derped by the KV1, and someone is capping our base. So I decide, just let that go by, as their artillery is completely missing me. Now, for now I have 3 kills, and I'm just, like I said, trading shots with this KV1. There's not really much I could do at this point, and for some odd reason there's a Su-76 that was apparently unspotted that whole time down in the crest over there. So I just 2-shot him, mind my own business, and there we go. I spot the KV1. I believe I switched to gold or HE or something and try and just whittle him down a little bit, as he has the derp cannon and isn't really going to be able to do much damage at this range to me. So I kind of take advantage of that, HE him for just little damages on end, and I think I actually end up bouncing or missing most of these rounds just because HE and this gun's accuracy. So yep, I'm just missing rounds, decide can't really do much else. I track them, down to my last 3 HE rounds, do another 24, and just shit goes like that. So that hits the tank in front of him, and as you see, I'm just out in the open this whole time, and he's just bouncing me round after round. So our team is basically devouring theirs with me with 4 kills, and he ends up sitting there with artillery on my team shooting him, and I don't know where that shell hit. That should have really hit him, but whatever. So this T40 comes around. I think I have a shot at him, take it, not sure if I hit that blind shot, and as this KV1 turns his turret, I try and shoot him, but our T28 takes the kill. So they have 4 members of their team left, and this ends up going downhill really quickly. So this KV1's coming across, I bounce him a couple times, and he ends up getting all the way across, which I really should have killed him, but RNG, what are you gonna do? So I'm gonna speed this up and just show that our tanks just melt to the enemy team somehow. So I kill that KV1, there's a flak bus destroying our artillery, as we have a Lorraine LAM over there and the T49 at their base, which I cannot see because he's out of my radio range. As we are capping their base, he gets killed by the T40, and me and this T49 have both 6 kills, and it basically comes down to who's gonna get the Bradley Walters once he kills our artillery. So he yells at me for seal clubbing, he kills our he kills the LAM on our team, I kill his T40, he's at our base capping, so this is where it just gets interesting. I'm just going to keep speeding this up, and it becomes just a game of cat and mouse. So he goes out there, he literally runs away, and I tell him not to be gay, like, have some class, dude, stop running away. So I literally chase after him, and he says that he's fine with the draw and whatever. So he ends up capping, and I decoy him out, and here we go. So this is the one part of this game that really matters to me, who gets the Radley Walters. So I just, decided to go gold shell him down. I think I get the track shot or whatever. He stops and peeks and shoots, and I shoot him right in the turret. So there's the Radley Walters for me. Kudos to him, the guy from BWM, Halir. Basically, we were fighting for the Radley Walters, and that's just a quick gameplay of that. So next I'll have a tier 10 game in the Flash 155, which you've probably seen in one of my reviews, and that'll conclude this video after that. Alright guys, so for the glorious tier 10 matchmaking that we get, we have a 3-man platoon of me, WoTs, and El Grande Burrito in TDs. Now I'm just going to go ahead and fast forward the beginning of this video, as this tank does have a 45-second reload. So towards the beginning of this game, we have an E50 just YOLO down at us, and no clue what the hell he's doing. He's a decent player according to XVM, but whatever. So here we go, we have the intimidation factor as the E5 rushes his shot, looks at me and goes, oh fuck no. So El Grande Burrito fires all 3 shots at the E50. However, these heavy tanks do not know that he's reloading, because he actually bounced one on the E50, but in theory he basically 2-shotted him in the opinion of those 2 heavy tanks. So on the side we have an M46 Patton, but WoTs and the T54 go after him, and our intimidation factor has taken over once the M46 dies, and I reset my camo. Here we go, we get respotted, and I take a shot at the M103, but RNG screws me over, and throughout the process of this game you will see that RNG is not friendly to me this game. So as you see, our City Force and here are rolling pretty quickly, and we have gone up 5-0. Now me, El Grande Burrito, and WoTs are closing in on this E5 as we're both reloading and just playing with this E5, fucking around with them, just keeping them boxed in, as WoTs takes 2 shots on the E5 and the T54 ends up finishing him off. So, now we are almost halfway reloaded, somewhat getting there, as we're just going to push up this railroad as our City Force is somewhat dying, but they're going to hold it out. So as you see, WoTs gets a great roll of 1031 on that M103, which is basically, I think the max roll is like 1036 or 1068 or something like that. So RNG screws me over from hitting this Jagdpanzer as I hit him the second time, which El Grande Burrito is moving up a little bit too much, as the scout is going to come out of nowhere from his camoed position and basically DPS him down. Now look at this RNG, I aim all the way in, and look, like, what the hell? The AMX 1390 gets lucky, eats a shot to his track from me as I'm reloading and not really doing a smart thing, as I get permatracked by a Leopard. However, the Leopard basically runs away, as I think he's getting pressured by the T62A, and my camo resets as the Leopard focuses back towards town. So these 2 tanks on the right under like B0, A0 are failing to kill this IS-3, and I have no clue what they're doing, as I think the T-54 ends up dying to him, so I don't even know what they're doing. So look at this, I look to the right just to go, what the hell are they doing? They can't kill a tier 8 tank when there are 2 tier 9s surrounding him. So whatever, I just bounce a shot off this IS-8 as the scout comes out, and I'm almost reloaded, so I go in for the kill. Now, once you see this shot that I take on the scout, that RNG screws me over again, you will actually feel bad for me, because look at this, I'm about like, hey, I'll take out the 1390, like, what? Where did that shot go? So RNG is not friendly to me this game, as I somehow hit the harder shot, which is more likely to be missed by average players on the 1390, and RNG helps me out there. So I really don't know what that is this game. Anyway, pretty good overall game. I team shot WoTs for shits and giggles as he turns and the game ends before he could shoot me back. So that's basically the end of this game. Overall pretty good wolf pack of TDs, with the ideal spot that the City was able to hold out, and we come up through the railroad and basically just flank them. So pretty good game overall, very fun tank to play. And next I'll just go around and go over tier 1 through 10, restate everything, and hope you guys like this video so far, and yeah, stay tuned for the rest of it. Alright guys, so getting back to recap, the end of this video, I'll just go through, state my favorite tanks once again, tier 1 through 10, and just go about, redo what I did basically in the intro of the video. So kudos to whoever made the request. Like I said, I can't remember who you are, but hope you guys like this video so far, and just give you some tips on how I like to play, get to know me as a tanker a little bit more, stuff like that. So back to tier 1, we had the MS1, which was a very good all-around high alpha gun, tier 1 tank, which you can mow down your enemies in about 2 to 3 shots. Now on to tier 2, it was a big debate between the tier 2 T-18 American Tank Destroyer and the free light tank given out 2 New Year's ago, the Tetrarch. Now I ultimately picked the Tetrarch because it has basically, in theory, the top T-18 gun on a light chassis with very good gun depression, good speed, all-around capabilities. Now tier 3, like I said, I had a friggin' obsession with the PZ-1C, which is one of the best seal clubbing tanks in my opinion if you really want to blow off steam and run around at 79 kilometers an hour, just pew-pewing tanks down with that 7mm Mauser cannon. Which, with it not being a premium tank, you have the capability to see tier 5 tanks, but at the same time it still can act as a light scout, and has pretty good view range at tier 3 with the ability to just kill arty and stuff like that. So on to tier 4 was something that I actually just bought back after making that intro part of the video, which is the Panzer IV Arty, which is literally a Panzer IV chassis with an open top turret and the Wespa cannon. Now this thing is just a troll arty, like I said, because it has 15 degrees of gun depression and just, it could hold down as an arty and TD things when you can't even spot it or shoot it because it's just ridiculous. So that's that thing, very fun tank to play around in, you can platoon with a couple people, and if you really want to play at tier 4, and it's just fun to, play with. So the KV-220 was the tier 5, and this is the ultimate seal clubbing tier 5 tank, and like I said, I have no clue why they gave it preferential matchmaking, because it is just so OP. It's similar, obviously to the KV-1, but it's better in every way, in my opinion. You could kind of compare it to the Churchill 3, but the KV-220 has an upgraded turret, hull armor, just everything about it. Side-scraping capabilities, not as good rate of fire, but its alpha and pen on its gun are better than the Churchill 3s. So on to tier 6 was, just not even up for debate, the tier 6 Hellcat. Now this M18 Hellcat is the stat patter's favorite tank, just to keep their stats, Unicom and stuff like that, as it has an open top turret, it goes 72 kilometers an hour, just has an insane gun, no armor, but it's workable, pretty good, view range, signal range, all that good stuff. It's just an all-around great tank. So on to tier 7, like I said, many people like the Tiger 1 and T29, but I chose to go with the ultimate TD at tier 7, the Su-1 2244. Now this thing can bounce same tier shots from tier 7 vehicles, as it has 90mm of frontal hull armor at a pretty decent angle, especially if you're angling like that. But for the most part, it has outrageous DPM at I think 3,150. It has a great reload of 6.6 seconds and 390 alpha cannon, which is just ridiculous at tier 7. Now onto tier 8 was one of the best tanks to be platooned with 2 other people, is the IS-6. Now this is a great stat padding tank, it brings up your win rate, helps out your win 7, all that good stuff. Very troll armor, minimal weak spots if angled, and just all around, good tank with great gun attributes when brawling, and it has not as good pen, but with gold rounds and weak spot aiming, it's workable. So like I said, pretty good tank, all around great when platooned, and you can carry hard in this. And I actually forgot to mention it does have preferential matchmaking, which most tier 8s have. And on to tier 9 is basically the beast mode medium tank, the T54. Now this thing has, like I said, been untouched for a while. It's still obviously the best tier 9 tank, other than the E75, which in my opinion they're pretty even. Now the T54 is basically a T62A or Object 140 with better armor at a lower tier. So you have the ability to bounce shots better, you know, your turret's more bouncy at the tier, and it's just all around just as good as, let's say, a tier 10 in my opinion. I mean, its gun dispersion on the move and stuff like that aren't as good, you know, the silver round pen isn't as good, but overall it's just OP as a tier 9, and I love it so much. Now on to the glorious tier 10, which I had picked at the Foch 155. This tank is just ridiculous because it has that troll frontal armor, it has a troll weak spot, which I actually didn't mention in this video, which is the hammerhead, which, you know, you'll shoot on the sides here and here, and people will get mad because they'll just crit your rangefinder, and in return you'll hit them for 800 damage without them being able to do anything about it. And did I mention it has 3 shots in the clip? So yeah, just imagine that. Every 15 seconds doing 2,700 damage. Yeah, not fun. So basically, that's the Foch 155, including the tier 1 to 10 for my favorite tanks. Like I said at the beginning of the video, it's all preference, all what you guys like. It's your playstyle, your choice. This was just to make a video on a request that I had gotten. And for the most part, that's the end of this video. Hope you guys loved it. Comment, rate, and subscribe, and happy tanking.